This is Lisa Lodi, Distinguished Events National Director for the Northeast and Southeast Division. Also joining me on this call today is George Montanino, the National Director for the West and Central Divisions, Chris Perry, National Vice President, and Catherine Henzelka, our DE Program Support Coordinator. Throughout the WebEx, you'll also be hearing from a few of your peers from across the country. Today's topic is, "So what's in it for me?" said your sponsor, and we will be discussing all things regarding corporate sponsorships and how to secure money from different companies in a variety of different ways. Today's presentation is a WebEx where all staff are muted automatically. If you have a specific question that you would like to ask, please type it in the chat window. If we have time to get to the answers during this WebEx, we will. If we don't have time, we will answer any questions in a fact sheet that we will send out to you after the WebEx is completed. We are recording this WebEx today so that you will be able to go back and review it again or share it with other members of your staff if you see fit. The Distinguished Events Resource Center has many great pieces of information for you to take a look at relating to corporate sponsorships. There are sample corporate sponsorship opportunities brochures and grids from a variety of successful MBA events. In-kind corporate sponsorship opportunities, creative sponsorship opportunities, matching funds, best practices, and so much more. Catherine is now going to take us for just a quick tour of the Resource Center and the corporate sponsorship.
Thank you, Lisa. And I'm going to back out of our PowerPoint really quickly and go to the Distinguished Events Resource Center. This link can be found on the home page of Merlin. There's several links to different resource centers, and Distinguished Events has a spot. And once you go there, you'll be on our landing page, and from there you go to Gala, and then you'll find all these tabs that we see up here at the top. So I'm on the sponsorship tab today because that's what we're talking about. And some of the things we have on here previously, the What's in It for Me training we did that we're doing again today, a benefit checklist that you guys can open up and look through at different benefits that could be offered at different levels. There's a building your table cost. It's an Excel that you can type in how much different things cost, and it'll help you figure out the price of your table. Like Lisa mentioned, there's the creative underwriting sponsorship opportunities. There's some sample grids and brochures, and we tried to label who these were from. So if you have any questions about how they did anything, you're welcome to reach out to those people as a resource. And we also have a few new events coming down the pike that they have been sending us their materials as they've come. So Nashville is a great muscle team example. Wilmington is a new Toast to Life event that they're doing. So if you have anything that you think would be a great resource, we ask that you send it our way. We'd be happy to look at it and get it added up here. And some of these that you see that aren't highlighted are things that are still a work in progress. So check back to see when those get updated. And just one final thing at the bottom, there's some stuff about program ads that you might want to take a look at, some rules and things like that that we want to make sure gets communicated out there. And with that being said, I'm going to hop back over to the presentation.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, let's begin by determining what your corporate sponsorship level should look like. First of all, you need to determine the cost of your event, including things like your venue, your food and beverage, your entertainment, your parking. You have to know what those expenses are in order to prepare what you're going to be charging for your corporate sponsorships. A little later in this WebEx, we'll explain exactly how to figure out your corporate table cost. You should also take a look at what other nonprofit gala events are charging in your market area. Do your research early and keep a good file on this information. You will find it very helpful year to year. Consider tiered levels of corporate sponsorship, underwriting of special areas, activities, or attractions. Consider what each corporate sponsorship package includes in order to make it popular and easy to sell. Carefully evaluate the perks that you are offering. Do they make sense? Is there enough of a difference from level to level for a business to want to choose the higher level? Make sure that you can deliver on everything that you include. Determine if the benefits that you are offering are at no cost or low cost to MDA. And last, build a plan that will help escalate the net per guest as the level of corporate sponsorship rises.
So to build on what Lisa just covered, we're now going to take a look at the different types of corporate sponsorships. So you have the title sponsorship, the presenting sponsorship, and then tiered levels. And we're going to go through each one specifically, starting with the title sponsorship. A title sponsor is a patron of an event that provides money in exchange for the exclusive right to have their company's name appear prominently before the title of the event. The title sponsorship is typically the most prestigious class of sponsorship that's offered, and therefore it requires the most significant monetary investment in the event. In other words, this would be your most costly sponsorship because that company is going to receive the most exposure. So to give an example, if Harley-Davidson were to purchase a title sponsorship for a black and blue ball, the event would then be called the Harley-Davidson Black and Blue Ball. Right beneath the title sponsorship would be the presenting sponsor. And a presenting sponsor attaches the name of the corporation or brand at the end of a generic, usually traditional name. So to use the same example as above, in this case, the event would be called the Milwaukee Black and Blue Ball presented by the Harley-Davidson Motor Company. Next, you have your tiered sponsorships varying in cost and benefits. And these levels often can have fun and clever names associated with them depending on the theme of your event. So for a muscle team event, you may have a $20,000 champion level, a $15,000 all-star level, and a $5,000 rookie level. For a black and blue ball event, you may have an ultra classic level at $20,000, road king at $15,000, and a $5,000 sidecar sponsorship. So this is definitely an area where you can have fun with some of the different names. Next, we're going to talk about types of underwriting sponsorships. And underwriting sponsorships are when you ask for a company to help underwrite the cost of a specific event element, and then you brand that element of the event to showcase the company. You want to make sure that we're making money off of all of our sponsorships, including underwriting sponsorships, and therefore we charge the sponsor more than what our actual cost is. And if we look at those examples that are listed here on the slide and take entertainment as our example, if the actual cost of the entertainment is going to be $5,000 to MDA, then we would want to charge that sponsor at least $7,500 for this sponsorship so that we're making money on top of what our actual cost is. Other examples of underwriting sponsorships may include a dinner sponsor, so covering the food and beverage. We talked about entertainment, VIP party, text to bid, where you can give recognition on everyone's cell phones using the sponsor's logos, volunteer food and beverage, and also printed collateral materials. Similar to what we discussed with the underwriting sponsorships, other creative corporate sponsorships with good branding opportunities can include valet parking, sponsoring Goodwill ambassador tables, the children's art auction, having a media sponsor, a sponsor for your diamond dig, your photo shoot, and then also the photo sleeve, your balloon pop where you can put the sponsor's logo on the actual balloons, a sponsor for the wine pull, a particular sponsor for heads or tails, guest swag or goodie bags, the coat check, and then any other activities or attractions that may be unique to your event. So the thing that we really want to stress here is that we can have creative corporate sponsorships for almost any different element of our event. All right, next I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker, Chris Perry, National Vice President of Distinguished Events, to tell you a little bit about what they do at the Houston Passport to a Cure event to make it special.
Oh, that's funny. I'm the guest speaker. I love that.
I know.
That's awesome. So Yeah, I would love to talk a little bit about the Passport to a Cure, but before I do that, I just want to quickly say, you know, we had some people together. Many of you I know are on the phone with us right now, and we had them together at this all-star meeting last week or week before last. And one of the things that I think really came to light were that many people are getting very creative about how to increase sponsorship levels by adding value to the sponsors. And in things that are as simple as those that were listed by Jordan in the previous slides, and then some other creative ways. And so the first thing I want to say before we talk a little bit about Houston is, you know, we need to think about this the way television thinks about sponsorship for sporting events. If you'll note, or if you go to the baseball park anymore, there are all kinds of things going on the screen that they sell sponsorships for, and they're being creative when they visit with potential sponsors to find out what it is that sponsor really wants out of their sponsorship and whether we can put together something that delivers what they want. Because sometimes we put together packages and we think that all they want is more ad space, or they want to have more tables. And at the end of the day, when you sit down and have a really gut-level conversation with them, that's not what they want at all. And what they really want is to sit down during dinner at the table with someone that's very influential to their business. And we might be able to make that happen if we spend some time chatting with our sponsors and our potential sponsors to fine-tune. So do not be afraid to have some sponsorships out there, but be willing to sit down and have a really candid conversation about what would make a sponsorship better for you, so that we can continue to have you at our event and to increase your participation. And I think that's one of the things that Houston has done at Passport to a Cure that has allowed them to have many sponsors at higher levels just quickly. Their basic table price is already $6,000, but they have graduated sponsorships that give added value to many of the guests, and it is different for some guests at the event than it is for others. So as you may know, if you've joined these calls before, they have a very heavy presence with Kroger. And probably half the tables in the room are vendors to Kroger. And what they want out of a sponsorship is more time with Kroger. They want Kroger to see that they're supporting their event. They want to have Kroger at their table during dinner. They want to have, you know, some kind of a VIP mingle or an after party or something where they are hanging out with the people that decide how much shelf space they have for Miller Beer or for Pepsi or whatever that product is. And so those sponsorships are geared to the Kroger vendors. What's going to give them the most bang for their buck, because they're spending corporate money to engage Kroger, and we happen to be lucky enough to be the beneficiaries of that. On the other hand, we have people in that room who don't care about that. That is of no interest to them because they are in no way related to Kroger, but their needs may be for bragging rights or for more exposure, or they might want to be better than the next energy company, because we have several energy companies that participate. And so their offering might be fine-tuned or tailored to what their needs are. We can spend the money the same way, and we start with items that we have to have at the event anyway. We have to have a silent auction. We have to have a mission drive. We have to have valet for an event of this caliber. We're already paying those bills, and so they have clever conversations with potential sponsors to figure out how they can sponsor that for us and get what they need out of the event. Some of the sponsorships that are those types of exclusive underwriting sponsorships for things we already are going to have aside from valet. They do silent auction. They have logos on the bid paddles, and which is in everybody's hand, everybody's pocket. They do a balloon event. You can buy balloons for $300 with someone's logo on them and sell a sponsorship for $10,000. For your balloon pop sponsor. And so I say that to encourage you to first look at your expenses and figure out how you can get those covered plus the table costs, and who is the right person to do that, and really go have conversations with potential sponsors about that. And then they have sponsorships that are really have various items that go with them. For instance, you have an auction bag. Certainly people could just use plain paper bags, but it is an opportunity for logo ID for someone. And so this particular event has developed many more sponsorships to be able to engage more people at the higher than table cost. I will give you one caution. Probably if we were to back up the clock here and start over, we would have had tables that were tiered that didn't have all of these logo opportunities, but I say that because the event changed dimension about 5 years ago and it no longer was a Kroger-only event. The real lesson here, though, is to have creative conversations with your sponsors about what they need, and you're more likely to engage them at a higher level. So I'm going to turn that back over to Lisa.
Thanks, Chris. Now let's talk about some of the perks that can be included in your corporate sponsorship packages. Remember, whatever you promise must be delivered. The first one is interaction with your honoree, coach, or any special guest. An athlete, if it's a muscle team event, could sit at a corporate table. When offering this type of benefit, though, you want to make sure that you have corporate sponsors who know that they will not be able to fill their entire table with guests from their businesses. If you have a table of 10 and you have 8 people from the company, you need to allow 2 seats for your athlete and their spouse or their manager. Sitting with key personnel from the honoree company. This is a real benefit for vendors to get their ear of their customer in a casual and relaxed atmosphere. It is also really good for a vendor to show their customer how much they believe in their non-work interests. Same as the other, if you are seating special guests at a corporate table, make sure that the sponsor knows that before they start inviting guests to sit at their tables. You can have a VIP party the night of the event. Start your event a half an hour or an hour early. Think about the timing, but have a VIP party where only certain levels of corporate sponsorship are invited. The table placement. Highest paying sponsors should receive the best table placement in the room. Logo placement on printed materials and at the event. You should consider putting the deadline for these types of things on all of your printed materials, because if you're promising logo placement on invitations and things like that, you have to have that level of sponsorship committed before you go to print. And then another option is to try and do a VIP party prior to the event date, possibly a week or 2 weeks or 2 months before. Just think it out and think if a VIP party is something special enough where you can get these busy people to come out yet another night for our cause. Let's look at some additional corporate sponsor package inclusions. You can offer free valet parking. What a great first impression of your event. Wine on a corporate table during dinner is also very nice for your guests. Drink tickets or open bar access. If you're in an area in a hotel or close to a hotel, you can offer hotel rooms to some of the higher levels. These could be at the venue if it's a hotel or at a hotel close by. And oftentimes you'll be able to negotiate a lower price per room. Media. This benefit includes newspaper, radio, and social media, like the event's website, Facebook page, Twitter, etc. Always proofread these lists so that you do not forget any of your sponsors. Raffle tickets for your guests seated at a corporate table. This is a nice perk, but weigh against making money if you are able to sell all the raffle tickets. And then make sure that if you are doing some type of raffle that it's legal in your state before you start offering this as a perk to be a corporate sponsor. And then again, familiar or with muscle teams, is take home memorabilia signed by the athletes. What a great thing to walk home with, to have sitting on your counter the next day, to think about what a great time you had at that muscle team event the night before. I'm now excited to introduce our next guest speaker, Jenna Cashew, the Director of Business Development from Southern Wisconsin, to talk to you about how they determine the various levels of corporate sponsorship opportunities and the benefits associated with the different levels for the Milwaukee Black and Blue Balls. Jenna?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. So a little bit about the Black and Blue Ball. I actually am very lucky because I got to take it over from Lisa, who did a wonderful job really making this event an exclusive affair in Milwaukee. We have some wonderful sponsors, and a lot of our revenue does come from those corporate sponsors. So we are really lucky that we go into the event every year with so much of our goal already raised. So we have 4 levels of tiered sponsors, $20,000, $12,500, $7,500, and $3,500. That's our basic table price. We also do have one presenting sponsor, which is Harley-Davidson. We don't have a title sponsor, but they are our presenting. So the other 2 options that we offer with sponsorships that have been really great moneymakers for us is the exclusive sponsor category. So we have a couple things like the children's art auction, the motorcycle raffle, text-to-bid. These are all sponsors that are exclusive, and they sell out really quickly because there's only one available. So those typically go anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000, and those offer some really special visibility for sponsors who have different needs or wants. For instance, the motorcycle raffle is always the first one to go because for a sponsor that's looking for a lot of marketing, we're able, because there's so much printed collateral that goes along with the motorcycle raffle, we're able to put their logo on everything. And so for someone who really is looking for that logo exposure, that's a really great sponsorship. And then something that we have also implemented, they're a little bit smaller sponsorships, but we have unlimited general event sponsorships. So we offer things like a Softail sponsor for $3,500. So say a company is not able to come to the event, but they still want to support it. So these are great because it doesn't fill up space in the room. However, it allows people who are, at any location across the country who might not be coming to the event, it still allows them the opportunity to support the event. One of the other things that we do too is we do have all of our attractions sponsored. So we had a wine pole sponsor, we have a tattoo parlor sponsor, a boot shine sponsor, and those are also limited because obviously there's only one, so those always sell really fast too. As far as what we offer for benefits, again, a big, kind of like what Chris said, a big part of what we can offer is the exposure to Harley. We recognize that a lot of our people who are at the ball are there because they want Harley to know that they're supporting MDA, and they want that face time with Harley. So for, just as far as general benefits, obviously we have the table for 10 guests. We have gift bags. We have really unique centerpieces that we give away. We have a 2-hour reception with an open bar and appetizers. We have recognition on our website. We have a rolling PowerPoint during the program where we have everybody's name listed. And we also have signage at the event for some of our higher level sponsors. Some of the more special things that we offer, everybody gets a free photo in the photo booth with their table. Some of the higher level sponsors, the Road King and Ultra Classic at $20,000 and $12,500, they are included in a corporate sponsor video that we produce and show at the event. I think that's probably one of the most coveted benefits. People really like that. Even though they won't tell you, everybody likes to see their name or their face up on screen. And then we also do a social media campaign where we, leading up to the event and after the event, we talk about our different corporate sponsors and, share some of the different initiatives that they have going on in the digital world. We also offer the VIP reception for the top 2 levels. And then we do quite a bit of post-event recognition as well with newsletter recognition, and again, continuing on with that social media campaign. So just a couple ideas. Something that we changed last year, just as far as when it comes to sales. We do break out the different categories of benefits into marketing benefits and hospitality benefits, and that's kind of the way we sell it. So we really, you know, show the sponsor, here's what you're going to get in terms of marketing, and here's how we're going to treat your guests great at the event. So that really appeals to different people in different ways, and we found that that's pretty effective. As far as actually booking the sponsor, we have a process in place that is pretty stringent, just so that we don't have any miscommunications. Probably for you all, you have the same scenario where a volunteer is typically soliciting for you or one of your committee members. So typically what we do is we kind of tell them, we'll make it very easy on you. If you can make the ask, we'll do everything from there on out. So typically I'll wait for an email confirmation from one of my committee members, you know, and they'll say, you know, BMO Harris Bank is going to sponsor this year at Road King. So I take that email, and then we send a confirmation letter and an invoice. And then right away when we send that, we then count them as a confirmed sponsor. So we wait till we have something in writing, and then from there we're able to continue the communication and benefits fulfillment and all that stuff. So that's kind of an overview of how we do sponsorships in Milwaukee, but Lisa, was there anything else that you wanted me to include?
Nope, I think you covered it. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Great. Thanks so much, Jenna, for sharing some of the great marketing and hospitality benefits that your ball sponsors receive. So we're next going to move on to talking about determining your corporate table cost. And as Lisa mentioned at the top of the presentation, in order to determine your minimum table cost, you need to first know what your hard costs are. So to start with your table cost, you're going to add your food and beverage per person. And in this example, we're saying that it will cost you $45 plus, meaning plus tax and plus gratuity for food, and $17 per person for alcohol. And in terms of the gratuity per person, typically gratuity or service charges are roughly 17 to 22%. So in this particular example, we factored in an $11.40 service charge. You also have to factor in what your other costs are per person, so whether that's entertainment, premiums, even if they're donated. So we're saying here that our other costs included $20 for valet per person and $11 per person for entertainment. And then that's your value per person. So in this particular example, your cost is $99.40 per person, or $994 per table value for a table of 10 people. So what is your minimum table cost? So in this example, we would want to have a minimum table cost of $2,000, which would give us a $100 per person fundraising benefit. And remember that this would be your least expensive sponsorship or table, and therefore as the sponsorship amounts are going to go up, you should be making more than $100 per person at the higher levels. We're going to switch gears a little bit here and talk about matching donations and gifts. And at least $10 billion in workplace matching funds go unclaimed each year. Often corporate employees don't even know about the opportunity for their employer to match their charitable gifts, and this is according to the Great Nonprofits blog. And that's a lot of money that's being left on the table, and we know that some of that money belongs to MDA. A quick review of some of our gala sponsorships shows us that MDA does have guests from companies who offer matching funds. And those are companies like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Pepsi, Wells Fargo, and the list goes on and on. But the point here is that if these guests participate in your mission drive, or in some cases if they volunteer for your event, you may be eligible for additional funds. And what we need to make sure that we're doing so that we are eligible for those funds is we have to be asking that question. And whether it's something as simple as putting on your registration cards that guests get at registration at your event, does your employer do matching gifts? Or whether we do some research in advance looking at our participants from the prior year in MaestroSoft and what companies they work for, we need to be asking that question, and we need to then follow up with our guests and with our participants and with our sponsors to make sure that we're actually collecting the appropriate matching gifts after the fact.
Talking about best practices for matching donations, it appears that very few of our events are actually capturing this information and doing the appropriate paperwork to receive this funding. If every distinguished event gala, and we have 94 of them recorded on our DE dashboard, realized just $3,000 in matching gifts, we could add over $300,000 to the bottom line just by asking the question, does your company offer matching gifts? That's a lot of money. Names, employers, addresses, phone, email, all of that information will be captured and recorded in Maestro for each guest. This should be a standard operating practice for appropriate receipting. And all districts, if you aren't doing this, you need to make sure that you get all of this information into Maestro. If it's not happening before the event, it needs to happen immediately after. Registration cards and or pre-registration sites should include verbiage like, does your company offer matching donations or gifts? Mission ask forms should also include the verbiage, does your company offer any matching donations or gifts? Can you tell we're pushing matching gifts? Don't forget to ask your volunteers, committee members, and sponsors if their company has a matching gift program also. I guess the bottom line here is we want you to be asking everybody all the time, because there's a lot of money that, as George said, we're leaving on the table. And this is easy money, simple money that all you have to do is follow up on. A few additional best practices. Your list of sponsors can be checked through HEP data on the MDA.org website. This doesn't have all of the companies, so it's also recommended that you do some internet research yourself. A simple Google search of a company name and matching gifts can uncover some great opportunities for you to add money to your bottom line. Know that some companies also fund volunteer service. Their companies are a great resource for volunteers and possibly future committee members. One example that we have nationwide and that many MDA offices currently work with is Kohl's Department Store. They have volunteers that will come to your event to help, and if you get a minimum of 5 volunteers from their store to come, they'll also give you a donation check. Make sure you follow up with your guests to provide the appropriate documentation and to assist them in whatever way is needed to receive the funding. We recently heard from Houston, who I think realized close to $15,000 in matching donations for their event after it was over, that they do all of the paperwork for their guests. They get the forms, they complete everything that they can, and then they send it to the person who works at the company. So really all they have to do is sign it and then turn it in. And they keep copies of all of this so that they can follow up. So make sure that you keep these things in that tickler file. And then make sure you thank the guest. You thank them for coming to your event, and if you get matching donations or a matching gift after, make sure you thank them for that as well. MDA now offers a customized email tool that you can send out to guests after your event. This is a sample of it on the left-hand side of the screen. And it can be used both to thank and to nudge guests whose companies match donations. Both the message and the contact information can be changed locally. It is shown on the left side of the screen, and it can be found on the Resource Center. There are 3 other great times to ask the question, does your company have matching donations or gifts? It's when your guests RSVP or when the table captain provides the table guest list to you. You can do it at guest registration at the event, have a checkbox on your registration card, and a space for the company name. And it's during your mission drive. Included in your MC script and provide a checkbox or a blank for the company name on the commitment form. Each company has a different process for matching gifts that we will need to follow and work with. Please be sure to advise MDA's Operations Service Department if a matching gift income is expected to ensure that it will be credited back to your local district. Again, there's a lot of good information on the internet about companies that match funds and a great resource. Don't let this easy money lay on the table. Put a little effort into following up on matching donations and gifts. You'll be glad you did. Now Catherine is going to show us how to enter corporate sponsors into Maestro, as well as some of the many corporate sponsor reports that are all available for you through Maestro.
Thank you, Lisa. Once again, I'm going to back out of our presentation real quick and jump over to Maestro. So your sponsors need to be treated like guests in the fact that each sponsor needs to go into your people database. That's why this number 3 says enter people and company info. So you want to make sure that you collect as much company information as possible, and that'll be entered at 3 and 1, where you enter people and companies. And I want to make sure to stress to everyone that when you have a company record, that you want to treat that as its own record. The company is not going to be an attendee at the event. The company is not going to have a seat at your event. The company might be writing the check for the sponsorship or purchasing the tickets for the guests that they're sending. But whoever's writing the check for the sponsorship, send a kid to camp, auction purchase, whatever it may be, that's whose record you want to be sure you record all the purchases under. So when you come to enter a company in here, we'll just go ahead and we'll add an example here. I'm going to add in Coca-Cola, and maybe John Smith at Coca-Cola is my contact. But I want to be clear that this record has nothing to do with any auction purchases John Smith might make or any kids he might send to camp. This is strictly for Coca-Cola and any corporate money that they donate to the event. So you want to, collect as much information as you can about them, fill in, you can put in John Smith's phone number and email, so if you ever need to reference that record, you have that information handy, but just make sure that you keep it separately. And so when they do purchase a table or a sponsorship, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can come over here to this donations and sponsorships and enter them here, but for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to enter it in a different spot just to show you where you can also set up all of those sponsorship levels. I'm going to close out of here, so when you start selling those sponsorships, you're going to go to 4, and you're going to go to 5, sell sponsorships. And all of this is customizable over where you set up your sponsorships. So this white area right here, if you double click, it's going to pull up. If you have a new event, this will be blank. I'm working off of a previous event that I knew already had information set up in it. But you enter your sponsorship amount, the fair market value, the names that your sponsorship has. And if you want, you can put, a ballroom sponsor includes 2 tables and name on the silent auction or whatever it may be. But nobody's going to see this information except for you for what it includes. So once you have all those levels set up and you have your sponsor entered into the database, then you can come down to your first available record, and you're going to choose where it says sponsor company, and we can go find that Coca-Cola record that I just entered. And this event already has Coca-Cola, so that's why there's a few of them. But we'll say Coca-Cola and that they bought a heads or tails sponsorship, and since I've already set those levels up, it automatically pulls that $10,000 number next to heads or tails. And then you can mark once they pay, you can mark the date, how they paid. If they've sent a check, you can put that information in there. And when it comes time to send them a receipt, you can just click the statement button, and there you go. You'll have the company, as much information as you entered about them, and what they actually purchased. And I clicked paid, so it says balance due is 0. But if we did not click it, then it would let them know that they still owed that balance. And it also comes with this handy-dandy part at the bottom that they can cut off and send with the check or send as a reference. So just really wanted to be clear on entering your sponsors versus the people from the company, keeping those records completely separate. And before you can sell anybody a sponsorship, one, you have to enter them under the people record, so you have someone to sell it to. And 2, you want to set up all your sponsorships. Again, that was at 4 and 5. We double-clicked in this white box next to sponsorship, and it's all customizable for you to set up all your levels that are unique to your event. And also, I'm going to close out of this and just show you a few final reports that you can get. At 7 and 1, that's where we find all our reports. And I'm just going to narrow down a few of the options by clicking sponsorships. And there's summary. I'll open it up and it'll show you, let me make this bigger, all the different sponsorships that we were just looking at, that big long list. It'll print out here, so if somebody wanted to know how much you had in sponsorship sales, you just print out this report. And if you go to the last page, it'll tell you how much is raised versus how many were actually paid, so you know how much money you're looking for outstanding, and it will tell you who has yet to pay for their sponsorship. So that's a good one. And then the sponsorship recognition, if you guys needed to print this for any reason, you could export this to Word, Excel, whatever, and it already has the different levels with who actually purchased those sponsorships. It's not super pretty in Maestro, but again, it can be exported, and you guys can play with that to do what you want. So I'm always here if anybody needs help, and also you can go on Maestro's help site. That's the www.maestrosoft.com/MDA. And log in with your license information, and there are short little 2 to 3 minute videos that will cover a lot of what I just said about entering sponsors and the difference between selling a table versus selling a table with a sponsorship, and it helps clear all of that up. So we are here if you have any questions.
Could you, Catherine, I'm here with Catherine, this is Chris. Could you revisit just really quickly the difference? Let's say it's a corporate sponsor, Coca-Cola, and you mentioned he's a contact. If that contact is actually coming to the event, what do we do about him?
Okay, sure. So I'm going to go back to 3 and 1 where we were. So we had John Smith from Coca-Cola in this previous example. So I added in a record for Coca-Cola, and y'all saw I put John's name down in the contact. But if John Smith were actually attending the event, I would create him a record just like this blank one I have up here. I would type him in, and under his work information, I would put Coca-Cola. And you can put in all the company information if you have it, or if that's where he prefers to get his mail, or hopefully you'll capture his home information, his email, cell phone, things like that, and you can mail things to his home. But John Smith, any purchases he makes, if he wants to purchase a table out of his own checkbook, that will go under his record as John Smith, and he'll get a bidder number the night of the event, he'll get a seat at the table the night of the event, whereas Coca-Cola is just going to get that invoice for the corporate sponsorships or anything they purchased corporately. All right. I will
Thank you.
Jump back to the presentation here and give it to Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks, Catherine. So we want to stop here for just a minute and take a look at some of the different corporate sponsorship brochures that we have that we think have some really good examples of what we've been talking about up to this point. So we're going to go ahead and first take a look at the Houston Passport to a Cure sponsorship. So this is from their 2014 event when the theme of the event was Passports Got Talent, going along with the America's Got Talent kind of theme. And if you'll remember what Chris said earlier, you know, this is an event where they have a lot of those unique and exclusive underwriting sponsorships. So what you'll see over here on the right-hand side are some of the essential sponsorships, so their auction bag sponsors, their valet sponsors, their sweet tooth sponsors, etc. On the left-hand side, you'll also see that wild card sponsorship, and this was basically for someone to pay for the entertainment for that evening. And it lists all of the benefits right down there below. So in addition to underwriting the cost of the entertainment, they're going to have their logo incorporated into the decor. They're going to get that full-page ad. They get a table of 10 guests, and then they also have 5 hotel rooms where the event is being held that night to use as they wish. Also going back to that right-hand side there for a moment where you see all of those essential sponsorships, you'll see that the benefits are listed out right there. So the name and logo on the invite, table of 10, et cetera, and the cost for any of those that are listed above are $8,000. And then as Catherine just continues to, kind of scroll down on this brochure here, you'll see that there's a variety of different additional sponsorships available. Chris also mentioned the fact at the top that they did not do a lot of tiered sponsorships for this particular event, so a lot of these are exclusive sponsorships where they're only selling one of them. The exception to that would be that premier table sponsor that you see there for $6,000, and that's the lowest level available at the event.
Can I hop in here real quick?
Absolutely.
So, and that's the area for growth here because, and Carla's on the line, but we've had some meetings with an entirely different group of people, more the society set, and their question was, what are the tiered tables? So, there's always a place to go to make your event bigger, so be on the lookout. I think what we'll see are maybe some more tiered extra special tables because for that particular group, that's how they roll. Thanks.
Great. Now Lisa's going to walk you through the Milwaukee Black and Blue Ball sponsorship.
This is the Milwaukee Black and Blue Ball corporate sponsorship brochure from 2014. And again, this is an event, as Jenna said, it does have a lot of tiers and a lot of corporate sponsorship that comes in at those tiered levels. I think going into the event this year, they probably were at $725,000 or $750,000 in corporate sponsorship, which is an awesome place to be because we all know that corporate sponsorship is money that we get from a company usually before the event, and we know exactly where we stand that night. So again, this is a 2014 brochure Jenna mentioned, which was a wonderful addition for 2015, breaking it down for marketing opportunities or marketing benefits and hospitality benefits. I think sometimes when companies look, they want to be able to read and see what they're getting very simply. They don't always like to read a lot of information, so trying to make things less wordy and concise is probably something that we all need to do, and to make the brochures easy to read and easy to pass on to people who are going to be considering sponsoring. Next, I think we're going to look at Chicago.
Okay, so what we're taking a look at here is the Chicago Muscle Team brochure. And Chicago is kind of a combination between what we just looked at with Passport to a Cure in Houston with a lot of the exclusive sponsorships, and then what we saw with Milwaukee with a lot of the tiered levels. They've got a little bit of everything here. You'll see listed first their presenting sponsorship at $50,000. So that would be one presenting sponsorship. There's only one available. Then you'll see the Winner's Circle sponsorship listed next, the Champion sponsorship. Both of these are tiered levels, so they can sell multiples of them. Same thing with their Hall of Fame sponsorship and their MVP sponsorship. those are tiered and they can sell as many of those as they can fit in the room. And then what you'll see in this next section here are some of those exclusive underwriting sponsorships. So the VIP reception, where there's only one available, sponsoring the MDA Buddy artwork auction, the Step and Repeat. Step and Repeat is a really great sponsorship for us to have at our events. It's easy for us to produce those Step and Repeats. They only cost a little bit over $300, and as you see here, it sells for $7,500 because the companies like everyone at the event taking their picture in front of their logos on those Step and Repeats because they know people are going to hang those in their offices or take those pictures home, share them on social media, etc. And then you also see a couple of additional examples below, including wine pull and coat check. So what we really like about the Chicago sponsorships overall is the fact that there's a little bit of everything. So as Jenna talked about earlier, some people lean more towards some of those marketing benefits and others lean more towards some of the hospitality benefits. And so this is the best of both worlds because we're offering a little bit of everything.
We have a little bit of time, so I don't know, Catherine, if there are any questions in the chat.
No, we do not currently have any questions.
All right, well then we will thank you very much for participating in today's WebEx. We know that we covered a lot of information in the last 15 minutes or so. We'd like to give a big shout out to Jenna for being our guest presenter today. Thank you. Our next Distinguished Event National Monthly WebEx is scheduled for Tuesday, October 6th at 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And the topic of that WebEx will be location, location, location. During that WebEx training, we'll be discussing the venue and all of the important information that goes into choosing the right location. We also wanted to tell you about the WebEx that will be starting at 3 p.m., again on Tuesday, October 6th. And that WebEx is going to be how to promote your gala. Our friends from the Marketing Communications Department and maybe a few others will be teaching us the best ways to get the best promotion for your local gala. So you'll want to join us on that WebEx as well. So thank you very much, and we will talk to you next month. Thanks.
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 Bye.
Bye, everyone.